Well, the cruise fleet just keeps getting bigger. A major player adding 8 new cruise ships over the next 10 years. Plus Carnival. They've made a shameful Godmother announcement. And well, like it or not, you're going to be paying for Wi-Fi. Yep. Cruise news and my views. Let's talk about it. Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to La Lido Loca. I'm your host, Tony, here with the latest cruise news and views for your face. On Tuesday, the 9th of April, 2024. And it's a sea day, and we got a lot of cruise news popping. Cruise news story number 1, Norwegian Cruise Line Holding coming out with a massive announcement that they will be adding 8 new cruise ships to their global fleet over the next 10 years. Of course, Norwegian Cruise Line Holdings owns the namesake brand Norwegian Cruise Lines. They also own Oceania and Regent 7 Seas. And these 8 cruise ships will represent 25,000 new cruise ship berths coming into the global fleet. The breakdown of the 8 ships goes this way. After Norwegian Cruise Line finishes out the Prima class in 2026, they're going to take on 4 new cruise ships in a new class of cruise ship. There'll be approximately 200,000 gross tons, 5,000 guest capacity, and they'll be delivered in 2030, 2032, 34, and 36. Oceania will get 2 of the new cruise ships, about a 1,450 passenger capacity, and Regent 7 Seas will get the other 2 with around 850 guests. And not only did they announce these new cruise ships, they've also announced a play that seems very royal-esque, really industry-esque right now. They're going to build a pier at their private island that can hold multiple cruise ships, the private island of Great Stirrup Cay. At the end of the day, it seems to be all roses for the cruise industry, as we have new builds from Carnival, Royal, MSC, Norwegian Cruise Line. It brings up the old debate, though. Is bigger better? Is it good to have all of this capacity? Is this changing the dynamic of cruising? It is what it is. It's fun to have the conversation, but we've got new builds coming out from Norwegian Cruise Line. How about that? And as I mentioned in the intro, today's a sea day, and so was yesterday. And I did something on the sea day yesterday that I've never done before. I'm not much for being out in the sun. I spent some time, of course, knocking around the cruise ship, but then I took about an hour and a half and I built this Lego. And it was fun. I really enjoyed combining the two things, a relaxing sea day and building Lego. Of course, the challenge is like, how am I going to get this Lego home without it breaking? I'm probably going to break it into pieces. I brought some storage bags to get it home. But yeah, I think I may have run onto my new favorite thing. I love playing games on a sea day, but building Lego was quite fun. Cruise news story number 2, an exciting story coming out of the port of Seattle, where we've gotten word that Pier 66 is completely wired up for shore power now. This is a big initiative in cruising to improve their environmental profile. More and more cruise ports are building out their infrastructure with shore power so that cruise ships, when they dock for changeover to release passengers and to get new passengers on and to take on supplies or just a visit to a port of call, can now shut down their diesel engines, reducing the emissions where the cruise ship docks, and instead of running those diesel engines, plugging in to the power grid. Certainly one of the biggest knocks on cruising is its environmental profile, and so I, for one, am happy for any of these initiatives that improve that. Shore power is certainly one of them. Pier 66 right there on the waterfront. There is another pier in Seattle. They have 2 shore power hookups, so I think we're going to see this more and more, not only in Seattle, but of course around the world. They're going electric, y'all. And look, I'll admit it, I've had an eye on electric vehicles for a while, EVs. I've never pulled the trigger. I've driven in a Prius before. I've been in a hybrid vehicle. I've never been in a fully electric vehicle. I see the Amazon truck come up that's fully electric. I don't know. I'm interested. Anybody out there driving a purely electric vehicle, an EV? What's your experience? Do you like it? Do you recommend it? Leave a comment below. Cruise news stories number 3 and number 4 are about the appointment of a cruise ship godmother and a cruise ship godfather. You come to me on the day of my daughter's wedding and you want to be the god. Not that kind of godfather, and as shameful as that impression was, Carnival Corporation has made an announcement of a shameful godmother. Carnival Corporation has named Hannah Waddingham as the godmother of the Sun Princess. And well, Game of Thrones fans may recognize Hannah as the woman who walked in front of Cersei in the streets of King's Landing yelling, "Shame! Shame!" More recently, though, you may recognize Hannah as Rebecca from the wonderful hit show Ted Lasso. I think this is great for the Sun Princess. I think a lot of people will make that connection and know who Hannah is. Which makes me wonder about the next announcement. Cruise news story number 4, Carnival Cruise Line has announced that the godfather of the Carnival Firenze is Jonathan Bennet. This guy, I don't know who that is, and maybe I'm just running in the wrong circles. His credits include being in the movie Mean Girls. He's also been in other feature films and hosted shows for the Food Network. Carnival's certainly excited about this announcement, but again, I'm probably just the one out of the loop. Are you familiar with Jonathan Bennet? Do you think he's a good match for the Carnival Firenze? Cruise news story number 5, Celebrity Cruise Lines has come up with a new branding for celebrity cruises. A new celebrity branding. And what is that exactly? Well, we know like Carnival has Choose Fun or being Funderstruck. Well, now Celebrity Cruise Line rebranding their whole brand around the phrase, "Nothing comes close." It's pretty bold, and digging into it, not only do they want this phrase to represent obviously their branding and their marketing, but they're also saying that this is a phrase that represents their culture and what they bring to cruising. I don't know, celebrity's nice. I don't know if nothing comes close, but it will be interesting to see how they roll this out. Probably coming to a YouTube ad near you. Nothing comes close with cool, cinematography. What do you think? Do you like this name? Leave a comment below. Now, I got to tell you about this little tete-a-tete, this little dispute that's going on between the cruise lines and a cruise port over a lot of things, but one thing in particular, Wi-Fi and everybody paying for it. But before I do that, let me quickly invite you to subscribe. If you like staying up to date with everything going on in cruising, please consider subscribing with the notification bell on. That way you don't miss out on any of the episodes. Programming note, there will be live shows tonight, 8 p.m. There will be a Patreon live. This is all contingent on the internet working, but I did a live stream yesterday and it worked really well. The 8 p.m. show is just for folks in our Patreon community. You can be a part of that. $5 a month. You get these exclusive, smaller live streams, 40, 50 people, a lot of interaction. But then after the 8 p.m. show, we do have the 9 p.m. show. Join myself and probably 1,000 others as we get together and we talk about cruising tonight, 9 p.m. right here on the YouTube channel. I will leave the links to everything in the description below. All right, here's the deal. We know that cruise lines collect money from every passenger in the form of port fees. Those port fees are paid to ports of call, and then the ports of call take that money and do with it not what they will. I thought they just did with it what they will, but apparently there are rules that govern how cruise ports can spend that money. And apparently the way they spend that money is so contentious that it's sometimes litigious. Back in 2019, Cay, Alaska and the city of Juneau had to come to an agreement, had to settle a lawsuit because the city of Juneau had been sued over the way that they spent their money that the cruise lines gave them in the form of port fees. In the 2019 agreement, they laid out rules of engagement, of how monies would be allocated and approved. And they also laid out a process for how the cruise lines could dispute what the plan for the money was. And well, now we've got an interesting situation here in 2024 where the city of Juneau has laid out their budget. They're getting ready to finalize that budget. And then late in the game, Cay, Alaska came out with a letter saying, "We don't think you're spending the money right." Here's the list of the things that Cay, Alaska says is not appropriate under the rules and conditions of the settlement and of the rules in general. And if you notice down there at the bottom, Juneau wants to put public Wi-Fi for the whole port area, and the cruise lines are saying, we don't think that you're supposed to do that with this money. And what's interesting is there's a little bit of a rub because of the timing of the letter. The city of Juneau, the council there, said, look, we've got this almost all the way finalized. This letter is really late in the game. We don't feel like this letter follows the agreement that we made for how to dispute how we're spending the money. And so now we're at the point where some of the council members are saying, look, just spend the money and we'll see what happens. It will be interesting to see what happens. Could this spurn another lawsuit? Will the cruise lines in Juneau come to some sort of agreement over these points of contention? But a pretty wild scenario where at the end of the day, when you're in Juneau, Alaska, experiencing the free public Wi-Fi, it could be because all of us cruisers paid for it. And I know a lot of cruisers that don't like to pay for Wi-Fi in any form. How would you feel? Is this fair? What do you think should happen here? Leave a comment below. Boom, that is your cruise news. Hope you guys are having a fantastic Tuesday. Hope we see you in tonight's show. This is Tony for La Lido Loca, and until the next time, we'll see you on the Lido. Bye.